Hi, everyone. It is Jaime Jo Wright here at Madlit Musings podcast. And as usual, I have an author joining me today. And this is Rachel D. Russell, who might be familiar to some of you through Sunrise Publishing. And she's coming out with her next novel, which is It's Your Love. It's a Deep Haven novel. Welcome, Rachel.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That might have been the longest introduction I've ever done.
I hope I can live up to it now.
I don't know. That was pretty lofty there, but you deserve it. You deserve it.
Thank you.
I'm really glad to have you on the podcast. It's fun to have authors who have several books out. That way people can, not just get your new release, but also go, ooh, hey, there's more I can get too. Because that's always fun when you discover a new author.
Yes, for sure.
But tell us a little bit about this novel and then how it ties into stuff that you've already previously released with Sunrise Publishing.
This novel, it's part of our Sunrise Fox family series. So Sunrise Publishing is a publisher who has lead authors and then draft authors, they call us. And basically we were mentored by our lead author. And the first season we wrote, we being myself, Michelle Sass Alexson, and Andrea Christensen, each wrote 2 novels that took place in Susan May Warren's fictional world of Deep Haven, which is in on the North Shore, North Woods in Minnesota. And there's an overarching theme in those books, but they each can be read as standalones. And then Susie came to us and said, hey, I know you guys really love Deep Haven, which we do.
Yes.
What do you think about writing another series? We're like, sure, we'll do that.
All right.
So this series, it's a 3-book series that focuses on 3 siblings that are part of the Fox family.
Okay.
And the Fox family has a bakery. These 3 siblings, there's 2 brothers and a sister. And they each had, there was a very significant tragic event in their youth. And as a result, now they're adults. And this event in their past has kind of shaped the trajectory they've been on. And so people who know all the prior Deep Haven novels will still see some of those favorite characters walk on the page or, be truth tellers, because as we know, these people have experienced, we've seen their lives in the past and know their own hurdles they've overcome. So we brought in some of those favorites, and then we have this new family that everybody gets to know. And my characters in particular, Beth Strauss was in my novel Then Came You.
Okay.
And she was a secondary character who was in Vivian's play, and Vivian had tried to set her up with Boone before realizing that Vivian actually really liked Boone herself. So there's some fun with that in the novel. So she's my heroine. And then we have Grayson Fox, who's the middle brother.
Yep.
And he's actually been living in Oregon and working as a cowboy since he graduated high school. Okay. So he comes back to town, and that's where we enter the scene as he's arrived in town. And he's brought some horses with him that he's picked up for the kids' camp. And he's thinking he probably made a mistake in with these horses, and off they go.
That sounds like quite the adventure. Now, is Deep Haven's not in Oregon though?
No, it's in Minnesota.
Minnesota. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So he's coming back to the Midwest with a bunch of horses, and well, that sounds like fun. Yeah, I was looking at the back cover copy here, and it looks like fun too, because your heroine Beth is going to be his boss.
Right. And they have a little bit of a history.
Okay.
Grayson was her brother's best friend. And then they had a little, Beth and Grayson had a little incident in high school. So they're not friends as they walk on the page, because she felt humiliated by him.
Yeah.
And we get to know some more behind the scenes of that story. But she'd had a crush on him.
Oh,
And when she sees him, she's not,
she's not crushing anymore.
she's not thrilled. No.
There's nothing like a middle school or a high school humiliation to live with you for the rest of your life.
Right. Exactly.
It's so funny. Like you can get humiliated in your 30s and you're over it after a year. But if it was when you were like 16, you're going to hang on to that
You're
until your
imprinted.
funeral. It's there forever. Oh, fun. So they have some history that they have to overcome, it sounds like.
They do.
And that's pretty awesome. And so she looks like she's the assistant camp director.
She is.
So
Yeah.
she's trying to make strides in her life.
She is. She's been, she's kind of always had these dreams of what she wanted to do, but her own history. She's had losses. She feels very connected with her dad.
Okay.
And that dynamic of how do we step into being our own person when we love our life and we love our family and it's comfortable, and maybe God's calling us to something that's scary.
Yeah.
How do we step into that? So this is the camp assistant director position. She feels like that's like a baby step, but for her, it's like the big step, because she's thinking this way she can have everything she wants. She could be near her family. She can have this job, but then suddenly she realizes that to have this job, she's gonna have to work with the guy.
Back to high school humiliation.
Yeah. But their meet cute is super fun.
Okay.
It's Beth, should I give it away or should we save that?
You could hint, like it involves X, Y, and Z.
Okay, let's see. Beth ends up advertising the children's library reading program, the summer reading program. It's a super hot day and she's wearing a really ridiculous costume.
Oh, that's going to be a good meet cute right there. There you go. All right.
It's pretty fun.
There's
I think it's fun. I know I wrote it, but it was like that first thing. I don't know if when you write this happens, but like it was the scene that I saw in my head as soon as I knew I was writing the story. I'm like, this is how they meet.
Yeah.
And when I first wrote the book, it was actually the very first scene. And Susie's like, well, we need a little more life first, Rachel. So, and now of course it's so much better. It makes much better sense now. It flows better and it's more impactful. So she's of course right. But it was the very first scene that I wrote, and it was the first scene I knew would be in the book.
Well, and sometimes those first scenes in your mind anyway, you almost have to get them out first.
Yeah.
Otherwise they get in the way of writing anything else. Of course, mine aren't usually meet cutes. Mine are more like you're going to die moments, or look over your shoulder, there's something behind you moments.
The nail biter.
Yeah, exactly. I was actually I was on a Zoom call it was a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking to somebody and I swore that I thought they were home alone, and then all of a sudden the hallway behind them, there was this man that just crossed the hallway really fast and almost looked like he was sneaking. Well, he was sneaking because he didn't want to bother her on the podcast, but it was actually her husband. But I'm like, are you home alone? And she's like, no. And I'm like, is your husband there? And she goes, yes. And I'm like, okay, the suspense writer in me just went full on, you're going to die.
Oh, God. And
she's like, well, at least I know you have my back to give me a 3-second warning in the event that it happens.
There might be some plot ideas in there, though.
There could be. I don't know. They did it on Criminal Minds once. I watched a show where that happened. But anyway, we don't need to digress into murder and mayhem when we're talking Deep Haven romance. I mean, Susie May Warren's going to listen to this podcast and be like, what?
We went off the rails.
That went down fast. Oh, fun. So tell me a little bit about you and your writing, because this is not your first book, and would love to just kind of hear how you got into the writing journey and all of that.
Well, I, probably hear it a lot. I always wanted to be a writer. I was like binding books when I was a little kid. I was making my own books, and
Sure.
we even had our own publishing company in middle
Oh,
school. We like bound our books, and
it's impressive.
um, yeah,
Your sales numbers must have been massive.
yeah, maybe 4.
Grandma, grandpa, and the other grandma and grandpa.
Right. And I think our kindergarten teacher really was impressed.
Oh, they're the
It
best.
was
They're the
really
best
cute.
cheerleaders, aren't
I
they?
know. I found this adorable card the other day that she had written us after we did that. How
Oh,
proud she was of the
that's
people
so
we were
cool.
becoming. I'm like, oh. So, but I was practical. So, when I graduated high school, I went and got a degree in biology and chemistry,
Mm-hmm.
and went into law enforcement, and then shifted gears a few times.
Because that's a
So
natural segue. I'm going to go into biology and chemistry and then go catch criminals.
it did make
It
sense
actually
because
does,
I
though.
was working. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, we're both getting really excited right now. Go ahead.
It did make sense because I was working as a park ranger, and my one of my chemistry classes was forensic chemistry, and I had this
Ooh,
amazing
yeah.
professor from who's originally from Argentina, and she had fun, crazy, wild, and very fascinating stories to tell.
Okay.
So that got me kind of, along there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I ended up getting on with the police department as a reserve officer, went through the academy, and then ended up working for the Federal Bureau of Prisons right out of college.
Wow.
Met my husband in prison.
Oh, what a romance story. You have to write that.
We were
That's
on the
not been done.
we both worked there. And then we just the course of life went, had kids, all this, career, other stuff. I wasn't working the prison anymore, but was working still federally.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was doing a goal setting thing. Oh, at this point, I want to say it's probably 10 years ago.
Okay.
I'd have to like really dig to figure out how long ago it was. But it was like, if you could be doing anything, what would it be? I would be a
Yeah.
writer. And
Yeah.
the next
Okay.
question was, what are you doing to achieve that goal? I'm like, nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, nothing.
Right, right.
So I started writing, and it was horrible. And so
As
I
is every writer's first writing. Just throwing
was
that out
like,
there.
how did I ever think I could write?
Yeah.
And then I joined Oregon Christian Writers, started going to workshops.
Mm-hmm.
I found
Mm-hmm.
Novel Academy, which is Susan May Warren's online, teaching school,
Mm-hmm.
and just absorbing everything I could about story structure, storytelling,
Yeah.
character development,
Yeah.
and would go to the Oregon Christian Writers conferences every year, take all the classes I could,
Mm-hmm.
submit to the contest.
Mm-hmm.
I had a local craft group that we meet once a month, and we'd go through each other's stuff,
Mm-hmm.
make comments and stuff. And then in 2019 was when Sunrise Publishing announced their being
Yeah, their
the
existence.
creation, and had their first season, which
Okay.
was what they call it, and then they would have what they call auditions. So
Mm-hmm.
Susie was kind of the guinea pig first mentor author,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and she they basically, you had to submit, it was all blind, so all the identifying information is stripped out of the documents before
Okay.
they go for review.
Yep.
By her assistant. So she's just looking at the pages of
Mm-hmm.
what somebody, what their experience is, their story idea for a story created in that world, and then a sample of the writing.
Okay.
And then from that, they picked, I think it was 10 writers to be their that were the finalists, and then we had to actually write the scene for the book we wanted to write,
Right.
and
Okay.
submit that. And out of that, I got my first contract.
Awesome.
And wrote that book, and then wrote my second book. So I have 2 full-length novels,
Okay.
and then a novella that's part of a Deep Haven Christmas collection. And then this is my 3rd full-length novel.
Okay. Awesome. So anybody who's listening right now, you can go get more than one book when you when you go check out Rachel D. Russell. Now with the Deep Haven books, can you read them in different orders, or do they all have to like start at the beginning and then go through?
They each can stand alone.
Mm-hmm.
each story is complete. There's no big cliffhangers in any of the stories for the Deep Heaven extended collection and then the Fox family series. I think it's more fun, to read them in order.
Oh,
You'll
sure.
see there's a thread and the characters will build.
Okay.
But so it really, there's no like set answer to that question.
Yeah. It is
But
kind of a loaded question. But I know there's some series where it's like if you don't read them in order, you're completely lost.
yeah,
So
I think we did a good job of introducing the character.
yeah.
One of the things Susie taught us was when somebody shows up on the page, give a breadcrumb, enough information so people know who they are and don't
Mhm.
assume that they have read the
Right.
other books or the other series.
Right.
So those characters will be more meaningful on the page if
Mhm.
people have read other books, but they will know who they are even if
Got
they
it.
didn't.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what do readers need to do to find you, to follow you, to get to know more about you and your books and all that jazz?
My website is easy,
Mhm.
racheldrussell.com. And they can sign up for my newsletter there.
Okay.
And then Instagram is Rachel D. Russell Writes. And then on Facebook, it's Rachel D. Russell Fiction.
Sounds good. Awesome. And hopefully we'll have more books to look forward to from you as well coming out.
I hope so.
I know. Isn't that fun?
I'm actually working on my next one. So
Awesome. Awesome. And is
very
that a
good.
Deep Haven one too, or can we
It's
not say?
not. It is not
Ooh.
a Deep Haven one.
Ooh.
It is with Sunrise, but it's
Okay.
a whole new series. So.
A whole new series. Awesome. So more to look forward to. This is not the last time we've heard from Rachel D. Russell. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.